In his book, The Invisible Coup, How American Elites and Foreign Powers Use Immigration as a Weapon, author Peter Schweizer contends that sabotage is now underway. It's undermining the established U.S. social order. In your book, you write extensively about narco-trafficking. I was shocked, Peter, to learn of the alliance between the Democratic Socialists of America, AOC, Bernie Sanders, Zohran Mamdani are members, and Progressive International. Its leaders have ties to drug cartels and human trafficking networks in South America. Tell us more about that.
Yeah, Progressive International was launched by Senator Bernie Sanders in 2018. It's headed up by his former foreign policy advisor. And Progressive International's goal is to bring about cooperation between progressives in Latin America and progressives in North America, mainly the United States. The problem is when you look at the leadership team that this organization has in place, it includes numerous officials who I name in the book that are directly tied to the drug cartels. And when you look at what this organization pushes for, it's straight out of the desires of the drug cartels. Number one, they want open borders. The drug cartels made much more money through human smuggling during the open border era of the Biden administration than they did selling drugs. But the second thing they're pushing for is an end to military operations against drug cartels in Latin America. Again, it's easy to see why the drug cartels would want that. So we have to recognize and acknowledge the fact that the cartels have found an entryway in which they can influence progressives in the United States and shift their policy directions. That includes Senator Bernie Sanders, but also people like AOC, Congressman Craig Cesar, and others. It should be a matter of major concern, and it's an example always of we need to follow the money and see where the support and where these organizations are aligned and who they might be connected with.
Well, and you touched on this. You contend that many of the immigrants coming into the United States illegally had significant ties to radical political networks in their own countries. So once here in the U.S., they established similar radical groups and networks like CASA in the state of Maryland. Tell us about CASA and its role in the Abrego Garcia deportation case.
Yeah, CASA is a classic example of these immigration groups that are radicalized, because you look at the founders and the leadership of these organizations. These are oftentimes people, as in the case of CASA, who served with the FMLN, which was a radical armed militant Marxist organization in El Salvador that fought against the United States and actually killed American soldiers in El Salvador. And these organizations, again, are not ultimately about embracing the American dream and embracing American values. They are about importing the ideology and the beliefs of the FMLN into the United States. So groups like CASA certainly are involved in standing up for individuals who are potentially connected to criminal networks, but they're also aligned with the Cuban government in supporting the initiatives of the Cuban government, as I lay out in the book. So this is a major problem. We have to keep in mind that when immigrants come to the United States, they bring themselves, they sometimes bring their family members, they bring their culture, but they can also bring their radical political networks. And those political networks are oftentimes encouraged, supported, and sometimes even funded by our adversaries overseas. So we need to wake up to the fact that these political networks exist. They are definitely influence the political temperature inside the United States, and we need to reject and prevent this kind of interference from happening.
Well, talking about influence, I was a bit surprised how our neighbor to the south, Mexico, is using immigration as part of a long-term strategy to retake California and the southwestern United States, which many Mexicans who have yet to assimilate, I might add, into U.S. society, they believe it's stolen land.
Yeah, you know, this one really surprised me, but the facts are clear, and my book is filled with dozens of quotes of senior Mexican officials, whether they be advisors to the president of Mexico, senior senators, all saying that mass migration is an opportunity to reconquer or retake the territories they lost from us in the 19th century. And this is not just some pipe dream. They actually have created, Gary, political networks in the United States to accomplish this task. task. I briefed a lot of people in Washington, D.C. about this book, and they were shocked when I revealed to them the fact that Mexico has senior Mexican government officials that live full-time in the United States. And their job is these are senators and members of Congress, the Mexican Congress, who live here full-time, whose job is to represent Mexicans in our country before the Mexican government. This is a massive intrusion into our politics. And these officials living in the United States are organizing anti-ICE protests. They are engaged in organizing other radical causes in the United States, in their own words. And this is a massive problem. And we need to reject this, protect our sovereignty, and ensure that this sort of behavior is not tolerated.